fact, there are many different philosophical ideas about what courage really is. This video is a short essay about how different philosophies define the virtue of courage. Now, if we want to be courageous, according to Stoic ethics, does that mean that we have to become these fearless warlords as we see in movies about the ancient Greeks? Or do we have to become the hero that saves the princess? Not necessarily. Courage is a Stoic virtue. This means that courage is part of what the Stoics call eudaimonia, which means flourishing, and is regarded as the end goal. It's important to notice that according to the Stoics, eudaimonia equals life in accordance with nature, which is regarded as an optimal way for human beings to live. When we look at the Stoic definition of courage, we discover that it's subdivided into endurance, confidence, high-mindedness, cheerfulness, and industriousness. We can apply these characteristics in all kinds of situations. We could be very courageous doctors or very courageous YouTube content creators. As long as we do it confidently, with positive energy, and in a way that's disciplined. This is the key to success. We can cultivate Stoic courage by controlled adversity, also known as ascesis, through which we gradually expose ourselves to this preferred indifference. In this way, we become more confident, strong, and skilled. Ethically, courage ought to be directed toward pursuits that are in favor of the common good, preferably things that are conformable to our own inborn nature and the nature of our environment. Thus, the Stoic hero is a virtuous hero. Now, Nietzsche was a German philosopher who valued courage very highly. According to him, courage is the main ingredient to become what he called the overman or Übermensch. The overman is an individualist who has succeeded to free himself from the master-slave morality and lives self-sufficiently while following his own unique path. God is dead, declared Nietzsche, meaning that we have arrived in a secular age in which God can no longer provide us with answers. In a similar way, Albert Camus saw institutionalized religions as a form of philosophical suicide, and submitting to them would mean that we refuse to see reality for what it truly is, meaningless and absurd. Nietzsche, as well as Camus, thought that the right way to live as human beings is to create our own values and live by them, instead of adopting values of certain belief systems and ideologies, which, in the end, only exploit us and rob us of our intellectual conscience. When we decide to set ourselves free from the herd mentality and truly forge our own path, we need an immense amount of courage, because we have to break the chains of fear and convention. And by doing so, we are likely to encounter resistance from our environment. Simply put, courage is to become who we are. The Buddha had a slightly different view of courage. There's this common misunderstanding that Buddhist monks are a bunch of cowards that hide in their monasteries while renouncing life. The renunciation of life is partly true in Buddhism, as it is the renunciation of certain parts of life, also known as samsara. Samsara is the wheel of suffering and involves all cravings and desires and pleasures that lead to suffering. By taking refuge in Buddhism, we seek to emerge from samsara by giving up a great deal that conventionally makes life pleasurable. For the regular person, giving up so many things means a great deal of pain and suffering. And this is the irony. One has to go through the pain of giving up short-term pleasure and devoting oneself to a life of practice and discipline to become free of pain. Thus, embarking on the path of enlightenment is a very brave thing to do. Part of the path of enlightenment is overcoming our fears, because a truly enlightened being has no fear. And in order to overcome fear, we have to face it. This is especially true for the fear of death. When the Buddha experienced the harsh reality of life, he chose not to be sheltered from it, but to acknowledge suffering and accept it. Thus, in Buddhism, courage means that we dare to see reality for what it is and transform our fear and suffering into a path to awakening. Philosopher Alan Watts, who was a scholar of Zen, spoke about a metaphysical courage, which is basically the awareness that all manifestations of existence are a show. So we approach life how we approach a movie. This means that on the one hand, we get tangled up in life and experience fear because everything that happens appears real to us. But on the other hand, we can see the illusion for what it is. Then life is no more frightening than playing a video game. According to Watts, this is what the samurai were after when they were studying Zen. They wanted this metaphysical courage so nothing would scare them. This is easier said than done, and when we put this idea into practice, we discover that our bodies still react to the things we perceive as scary. We still feel fear. Now, the key to dealing with this fear is not fearing fear and seeing these sensations as a part of the illusion. The opposite is the act of worrying, which is a vicious cycle that is absolutely useless. The cause of worrying is the illusion that we believe that by thinking we can control the future, which isn't the case. Thus, in this context, courage is the ability to simply letting the show play out as it plays out. The last form of courage I would like to explore is a nice add-on to the previous one. The founder of Stoicism, Zeno of Citium, once had a teacher called Crates of Thebes, who was the most well-known cynic at that time. Crates saw that Zeno had difficulties putting aside his shame, so he let his pupil walk around with a pot of lentil soup. Lentils as a dish were looked down upon, because it was seen as food for peasants. Because he saw Zeno struggling and ashamed doing this assignment, Crates broke the pot with his staff, and Zeno ran away in embarrassment, with the lentil soup flowing down his legs. "Why run away, my little Phoenician? Nothing terrible has befallen you," Crates said. He wanted to teach Zeno the art of shamelessness and the freedom that comes with that. This freedom is very well portrayed by Crates' teacher, Diogenes of Sinope, who lived in a barrel. Alexander the Great was very interested in Diogenes and traveled a long way to meet him. He asked Diogenes what he could do for him, because with his wealth and power, he could get him anything that the empire had to offer. Diogenes looked at him and answered, "Can you please step aside, because you're blocking my son?" Diogenes' lifestyle granted him the possibility to be independent. He didn't need the approval of other people, nor the help of the most powerful man on earth. But it took him great courage to live such a radical life. According to the cynics, real courage means that we simply don't give a damn about external things, including what people think and say about us, and don't let them stop us from living how we want to live. A courageous cynic is shameless. All in all, the human experience is full of fear, which can block us from living even the most ordinary of lives. That's why it's important to cultivate courage, so we can live more happily and freely, or at least so we can cope with the predicament of being involuntarily thrown into this world. As Albert Camus stated, sometimes it takes more courage to live than to shoot yourself. Thank you for watching.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
We live in a time where just standing on basic rights is heroic because we're also used to giving them up day to day. That like when somebody comes forward and says, no, we have these rights and I'm going to stand on them and I'm going to be unwavering, this has now become heroic. This has become, like the founder said, telling the truth in a world full of lies is a revolutionary act, right? I'm not one of these folks like they claim who wants to overthrow government. I understand spiritually, government would only be necessary for a population of folks who have proven they cannot govern themselves based on natural law and God's law. And that's exactly what we have. So I'm a proponent of folks who are able to govern themselves, who understand the foundational principles of the law of this land, that they be left alone. They say these are the most dangerous folks on the land. Why? Because they're talking and standing on what they're saying. They're not doing nothing to nobody. They're just revealing to everyone we have God-given rights, and they're willing to stand on them and die for them. And that's the most dangerous man on the planet right now. Right now, the rest of the slaves, the ones who self-identify as trustees, whether they know it or not, part of the United States federal corporation, federal body politic, they have a duty and obligation through contract to uphold the policies and codes. Because now, again, there's two classes of being. There's a privileged class of being under the law, and then there's a protected class of being. Most of us have opted into being a privileged class where we get privileges and benefits in exchange for essentially our rights by contract. So majority of folks are entering into a contract. They have made themselves a part of a corporate body politic, and therefore they have an obligation to fulfill that contract. If they want to correct that status and that standing and that presentment, and therefore renegotiate on that contract, right, and go back to being a man or woman on the land, then they're not subject to policy and code. They're only subject to the law of the land and essentially God's law, right? A set of laws that's in our conscience. It's discoverable. We can come to know it and do it, and we will create a kingdom of heaven out of that. But because we do not seek the truth and be set free, we are born into a certification program where a legal person is created, an all caps entity is created, and we spend the first 18 years identifying as that entity everywhere we go, taking our birth certificate and our social security down to DMV, getting ourselves a license for a right we already have. A license is synonymous with doing business in commerce. At a certain point, they created a group, a corporate capacity, where everybody opts into in order to be kept safe, right? This is sort of the movement of the idea, in my mind, of the republic into a demosocracy, where, okay, you identify as this member of the corporate body politic, you're agreeing that you want to be kept safe. And we see this now, where folks are going to their government to be kept safe and being given benefits and privileges. You have a split now, bifurcation, where the republic has now become a demosocracy in a lot of people's minds. There is no more faith structure. There is no more family structure. The state has essentially been moved in as our cosmic parents on every level. They've taught us through the public schooling system funded by the state that we need them. And if you don't accept that premise, then you are an extremist. You're trying to threaten everybody else's safety. So we see the tiptoe and march toward complete collectivism and mob rule and demosocracy, all backed by a technocratic component where everybody is tracked, traced, and surveilled. And if you don't follow policy and code, then you're deemed to be essentially an enemy combatant. As far as the Declaration of Independence goes, policy, statute, and code is only given the force of law to the consent of the governed. So we're being compelled to follow statute, policy, and code, but we have not been given full disclosure and notice, and we have not signed the contract properly, right? So these folks are running around overthrowing God's law and the law of the land. They're not even banging on original principles. They're just out here harming themselves and each other, doing whatever they want to do. This is ubiquitous. All classes of society has lost their original mission statement and does not follow their principles and their own policy and code. They've just become completely reprobate, ego unbound. They're going to do whatever they want to do because they're going to chase money and they're going to chase status and power, and they've relinquished their original status and power straight from the supernatural. Any man or woman born on this land that does not uphold the original principles, precepts, and philosophy of law, because ignorance of the law is no excuse, you are damned to a form of spiritual judgment. I don't care if you think it's funny, you think it's a big joke. I'm telling you, the karmic and dharmic law of this realm, if you continue to create and stand on wrongdoing and defend it and enforce it, you're going to bring about demonic conditioning in this realm. You've already seen it. I don't know where you folks have been. We're already there. And you're damn well down with it. Well, most folks think it's just dandy.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and address this rather quickly because this is a theme, and then I'll bring in No Despair Bear. We could talk about that. Okay, we got Rose 777, who I think I've seen enough of in these arenas. Like, I get it. You got the crow thing. Another place I was kind of, intimidated by or excited to be part of and present there. Went great. I'm appreciative of that. It was an opportunity and a benefit for me and arguably for folks who come here. But let me just read it and we'll go from there. KARL LENTZ got popular many years ago for supposedly helping a family by using the term property instead of offspring. But unfortunately, over the past 7 years, I've not received any examples. She goes on and on. Hey, Rose, here's a clue. How about you stop fucking talking about everyone else's successes and failures? And how about you and then 2 other clowns you got over there actually get engaged and get involved in this fucking arena? How about that? Then you can tell us what you and Crow and Jason and all the other males and females in these arenas are doing yourselves on the ground, at court, with rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, the law of the land. How about that? Who are you with your presumptuous, arrogant bullshit going around telling us about one success 7 years ago, but it hasn't come across your desk yet, anything since, as if you would know all about it? As if because you don't know about it, it doesn't exist. There's your fucking arrogance and hubris. There's your presumptuous nature. That's why I lost respect for you, among the other things, you interviewing Jack Talcott and Z and these other fucking clowns who are also not doing anything, not living anything, not being anything. Okay? So why don't you save your fucking commentary, because nobody asked you. This isn't the Crow show here. No one here asked you about your fucking commentary on what other people are doing when you're not doing anything. Save it. Save it for the large audience that's probably getting smaller as time goes on, because folks like me are popping up who are going to be completely honest and authentic, if not completely, because we don't necessarily tell the whole story and everything that we do necessarily, but like light years ahead of you and other folks who are on here. Could be argued specifically to do business and to have brands and all the rest of it. Let me bring in NDB. I got the fucking dog out here busting my balls. How are you, NDB? Go ahead. Start sharing your story of your latest exploits there.
Yeah, got you. Yeah. Well, I was supposed to go to court today because a city police officer who has statistics that he needs to fill up, because they get little treats and awards for that as officers. Because I found that out because my cousin, who used to be former officer in different agencies, she tells me that's what they used to do. You know, that's how you become officer of the year, is if you have so many arrests, or more arrests than Billy, or more arrests than this guy, you know. But anyway, he writes me a citation for leaving the scene of an accident - failure to render aid or assistance, which is complete horseshit and serious charges if it's true, and it's all alleged and made up. What actually happened? I'm at a restaurant, and I leave the restaurant. I'm unaware at the time that anything is even taking place. I'm eating my motherfucking French fries, pulling out of the restaurant. I go behind the restaurant, get to the stop sign. Some crazy motherfucking dude holding a dog in his left arm, fucking like this, like he's got a football. He's fucking cussing me, saying, "Hey, motherfucker, you hit my fucking truck," screaming with my windows up because it's hot as fuck. I got the AC on. So I'm hearing most of what he's saying, but I'm hearing cussing me, number one, coming at me like a fucking madman, which is not good. I thought I was going to have to fight the dude. And so he's like, you know, stops. So I stop sign. I put it in park, and I rub a window down. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you want? You know? He's like, "You hit me back there. You hit me." I was like, "Bro, I didn't feel nothing. I didn't fucking feel me hit you." I said, "I come off the curb with my fucking front tires." I said, "Because I left you enough room to park behind me. Being a nice guy, I should have been a fucking asshole and took up the whole goddamn thing with my truck and trailer. But I was fucking trying to be nice, which is something that I'm not going to do going forward, because fuck everybody, you know? This has all been brought upon my table. It's been brought upon my table, I guess, for a reason. But I mean, I'm having to fucking fight with my mom, my dad, because everybody wants you to submit. Everybody wants you to admit to guilt that you didn't fucking do. I want you to appear at court when you don't. There needs to be any fucking court. There was no damage done to the dude's vehicle if allegedly I did hit it, which I didn't feel it, didn't fucking know it. The guy gets butt hurt because I told him, he goes, let me have your information. After we see there's no damage to his vehicle, there's no damage to the back of my fucking trailer. Okay? So he goes, let me have your information, is the words he says. I said, no, I'm not giving you my information.
This is another man or woman. This is another man just casually, right? This is not an agent or member of agency?
No, this is another slave holding a dog.
Okay. So then this is a civil matter, no?
Yes, sir. Until
Okay.
until I don't give him my insurance information is what he really wanted, because he's a fucking greedy motherfucker that wants money for nothing. Because my insurance, I called my insurance company this morning. They said they don't have anything on the claim. I give the lady the claim number. She said there's nothing there. There's nothing been done.
Wait a second. So as you put it, another slave, you apparently hit him according to him. He wants your information. You're saying you didn't hit him and that there's no damage.
There's no damages. Yeah, there's no damage.
Right. So he then went and filed criminal charges?
Well, he called the police whenever I refused to give him my information and told the police that I left the scene, quote, I guess I was leaving the scene of an accident, and failure to render aid or assistance is what the fucking cocksucking cop put on there. When there was no fucking assistance needed for fucking anything. If anything, I need to assist to fucking whip his ass.
This is more and more what's happening, where you have the state of and its agencies wanting to steamroll and move a court for charges that are extra and have nothing to do with what actually took place. So I'm confused. This guy, you left, and then this guy called the cops, and then the cops came to you where?
Come to my home.
Okay, and then did you talk to them at all?
Yeah, he come. I didn't realize the cop was here. I was in the middle of rolling a joint, actually. But anyway, I had to put the fucking weed up behind the fucking weed because the cop was coming right into my garage. And so I stopped and got my shit together and come out the garage, and he wasn't there. He went back out of the garage and back into the front of the house.
But even that, like you saying you had to hide the weed, like you're on private property. You know, you can do whatever you want to do if you're not causing loss, injury, and harm. Why would you make it seem like you're doing wrong by hiding something that's not wrong?
Because it's illegal here. I guess. I don't fucking know. I mean, they would arrest you for it if they saw it or smelt it. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, again, this is the thing. You're telling me about illegal as if you understand the legal society and their codes, and you believe that you're doing wrong by not following.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't believe that, but that's what they believe. I'm telling you what they believe.
What,
I'm telling you, I don't agree with it.
Are you interested in what I believe when you live your life? No, you're interested in what the fuck you believe. No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just kind of, again, calling that out, that everybody's running around going, this is illegal. What the fuck does anyone know about that world other than someone told you if you do this, something might happen to you? I mean, again, if you don't believe this is the common law and common sense, if I'm not doing wrong and I don't believe I'm doing wrong, why would I even consider what's legal and illegal? There's 11.4 million statutes on record that make whatever you're doing illegal. Do you sit there and consult 11.4 million statutes to figure out how to be a fucking man and how to live your life?
No.
If it was illegal, as you put it, to stick your penis in a woman, would you stop doing it?
Probably
because we're coming to that point at some point where, like the old saying goes, if government could, they'd make, what goes on in your bedroom illegal, and have to get a license or a permit in order to fuck your woman. So again, isn't this kind of the coming of age story? Isn't this the actualization and realization of becoming a man or being a man, where I'm not interested what's legal and illegal? I'm interested in true from false, right from wrong, necessary and proper versus a direct threat, right? If I'm doing in my life what I believe is necessary and proper, that's in my domestic authority. That's in my right to do so. Since when, as a man, do I have to consult other men and women for their opinion on how I should live my life? This is so common sense, and it's so lost on everyone because we've just all accepted that legal and illegal somehow means right from wrong or lawful and unlawful. It doesn't. And this is why I have to go through it 1,000 times till it just finally clicks with people. I have no business worrying about legal and illegal. Everything I'm doing is probably illegal at this point on some level.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, you're right, dude. That's right.
They're saying your demeanor is not what we wish it to be. I'm sure in your world, you'd wish me to be a complete pimped out, hoed out slave and pretty much just go to work, come home, pay you guys as much as you ask for, whoever you guys is, and just pretty much exist to feed other people and to assist them. Like if you guys had your way, that'd be my life, but you don't yet. So I'm going to do what the fuck I want and need to do, absent loss, injury, and harm. Right. So again,
but he never come in the house. He never come in the house.
I get that, but you still talk to him, right? You still answered his questions. You still testified against yourself on some level. Because he asked you, did you hit somebody or did somebody say that they hit you? Right?
He asked me what happened, and I told him what happened from my perspective. There
you go. Why are you talking to police and telling them what happened from your point of view when you're not even willing, apparently, to throw away legal and illegal? So you start talking again instead of saying, I don't answer questions, and you start explaining to policy enforcement what happened from your end, and then he's going to take what happened from the other guy's end, and he's going to, in his mind, make a determination. Yeah. And he's going to go with whatever's most profitable for the state of, which he did. Right.
Yeah.
This is why I don't answer questions. You're not going to get me to turn state's evidence on myself and give you pieces of information that you can then twist and deceive and interpret and all the rest of it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't answer questions. I don't have to. You got charges you want to lay on me? Well, levy them. And don't presume that I'm going to show up to answer the charges to that person either.
I didn't show up.
They keep playing this game.
I didn't show up, bro.
Did you sign any paperwork?
I didn't sign shit.
Did you agree verbally to go to court or to show up anywhere?
Nope. I was given this piece of paper under duress. My cousin said it's basically I got arrested, but on a piece of paper. They didn't take me to jail, but I'm considered arrested in the stats.
I'm not interested in again, their nonsense. As you know, I can't tell you what to believe and what to do. They may come there if you don't show up at court, drag you out of the house. I can't tell you how to live and what I'm lucky if I can effectuate this for me. It's not me trying to stay out of anything. I'm not going to voluntarily enter myself more than necessary into these proceedings and these systems because quite frankly, there's usually never a victim. I got the paperwork there. They're listing a state of New Mexico as a victim. It's absolutely fraudulent. They can't take the stand. They can't be questioned. This is absolute nonsense. And if I'm not signing and agreeing to show up and you don't have me in bond, as you like to say, my word is my bond. If I've not given my word and my bond to show up at these ridiculous proceedings, you guys, if you guys are lucky, you just stay the fuck away from me because you bring me to court, put my ass in jail. I'm going to be writing letters once a month to all the congressmen, to all the higher ups, to all your corporate masters, reminding them notice to agent is notice to principal. You have a duty and obligation to keep everyone's rights upheld and or keep everyone safe. You didn't uphold my rights. And now I'm experiencing loss and an interference in my property and rights because I'm locked up. And then I'm going to activate the feds again to come in and to do taxation audits on you for transferring bodies and property, because that's what bodies are, property. You're claiming everyone's property of USDC, whatever the fucking jail is. So you can't move humans as property and not pay transfer taxes because you're getting paid for that. So I just start auditing you through the FinCEN federal government. I just start calling your superiors and, hey guys, regardless of what you all think about me, I'm not the nicest guy in the world. You may think I'm doing illegal shit. I'm not doing any wrong, but we got a big problem over here in the middle of nowhere because we got private installations moving people's property and people as property. And I don't think, I don't know, but I don't think they're paying transfer taxes on any of this property. Could you please go down and make sure? And that's when they open the books on everyone and they audit everybody. And then they shut down police stations. And then people have to resign and change jobs or whatever happens. So listen, We're in this for a penny. We're in it for a pound. It ain't going away, and we're all going to die at some point and probably have pain from now till then. So with that said, let's gamble. Let's play. We're going to investigate everybody, and we're going to see who's really doing wrong. And turns out that everybody's guilty of something in life. Everybody's a little kinky. Everybody's a little eccentric. Everyone's a little bizarre. Everyone's maybe even a little bit dark and morbid. Some might say evil. So we're going to show everyone for who and what they are and what their kinks and quirks are. And we're going to find out who everyone really is and what they're really up to. That's the age we're in right now. The apocalypse, the revealing of the truth that's always been. That's what apocalypse means. I'm for it. Let's go. Right. You know, it's like, this is the thing. They're not ready for it. I've already accepted that's what this is. You know, so you want to say I'm doing illegal shit, but I don't have any victim and there's no one you can bring forth and I haven't caused any damages. Yeah, great. You know, if we want to get into ethics and all the rest of it, we could bring up everybody's personal background and for all of it. Because that's the time that we're at right now is the revelation of truth and the judgment day, so to speak, as far as I can perceive spiritually, if I'm giving the religious, spiritual, metaphysical lingo. So that's the time we're in right now. Again, you're seeing it with the Epsteins and the Diddies and the Trumps and all the rest of them. Try as they might, the truth is being revealed, right? The truth always comes to light. How it's spun and remixed and what's done about it, well, that's a different story. But again, it's all coming out. Yeah, they're all involved. Yeah, they're all kinky. Yeah, they're all fucking children. Yeah, they're all fucking whores and prostitutes. Big fucking surprise. Yeah, half of them are fucking other men. Big fucking surprise. Yeah, half of them are doing dope and sniffing coke and smoking crack and sucking dick. Yeah, big fucking surprise. And that's why human beings are not meant to be governed, because they're not angels, right? If God's not going to come down in human form, you could argue man is God in human form. That's a different discussion, I guess. But the way we've conducted ourselves and presented ourselves and the way we've been co-creating here, because men and women are not angels, they're not fit to govern, right? You're lucky if we can do self-governance and get along in ourselves and in our life. None of these folks are fit to tell anybody else what to do and be and not do and be. So the whole enterprise of government is hypocritical and ridiculous. It could never be legitimate. It can never be legitimized. With that said, I'm not looking to overthrow it. I'm not looking to interfere with their big business. I think it's great. Yeah. Get these fucking slaves whipped and beaten and shown who and what they are metaphorically and metaphysically. I want to know who around me is really for God and the truth and by proxy for me. And I want to know how many of them keep telling me they love me and we're Americans and all the rest of it, when behind and in front of the scenes, they're selling us all down the fucking river. So I say it's fucking great, right? U.S. government, keep doing what you're doing. I want more codes. I want more policies. I want more tests and challenges for the citizen slaves. We're going to find out who's God's people and who's sucking the devil's D, right? So to not be too crude, right? I shouldn't curse here, they tell me. I shouldn't be that rude and crude.
No, fuck that.
We're going to see who's the devil's children in and of this world. Who's going to go to the end? Who's going to rebuke human rights, as the man said yesterday? Who's going to rebuke the nature and natural rights? Who's going to override it? Who's going to fund it? Who's going to look the other way when Paulie Boy and other folks get dragged the fuck off over and over again and have their rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith interfered with? Because you can never take them, but you can interfere with them for a time, right? And then we come back to home base. So the bottom line is, this sounds like a civil issue. The state got involved, as they always do, because the other uncivilized slave who doesn't understand resolution and remedy and reconciliation and forgiveness called them to get them involved. So now he basically threw a rock, and the rock is the system. So he's liable for that because he's trying to cause loss, injury, or harm to you using the apparatus of the state. Right? So ultimately, again, this is a civil issue. They can claim whatever they want in their beliefs as far as state agents. I'm innocent till proven guilty. And I don't go by this nonsense everyone else does, where they write something down on paper, hand it to you, and then there's something put on file. And if you don't show up, they're going to do harm to you. You got no warrant. I'm sure there's nothing signed by a magistrate.
No.
Say what now?
No, it's that stupid fucking cop writing up
off camera, because I'm having issues.
Got you.
Yeah.
You hear? Yeah, you got me? Yeah. I said, no, it's the stupid fucking cop writing up a bullshit story to get him a stat or two, an arrest, or an arrest, non-arrest. and having me go to court so they can have me in the court system for no fucking reason, because there was no loss, injury, harm. There was no damage. I give them my fucking insurance. The insurance company, I talked to them. They talked to the guy, saw there's no damage. There was no damage on my end, on his end. There was no loss, injury, harm
All right,
anywhere.
well,
But the cop made up shit.
Yeah, I mean, what are they? What's this nonsense that they're claiming, non-claiming that what's the upshot of what you're looking at? Are they claiming there's jail time for any of that?
I don't know. It's just a misdemeanor, is what my cousin said. It's 189.580. 1A, whatever the fuck that is, misdemeanor for leaving the scene of an accident, non-accident.
Well, I mean, you have to make a decision now. Like, do you want to enter into their world and have them prove you to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? Or do you want to make special presentment at an arraignment? Because I'm presuming you didn't see a magistrate yet, so your first interaction is going to be an arraignment. And if you make a decision to present at the arraignment, special presentment to, give them notice that you don't plan on being a part of these proceedings. Usually I like to at least present at the arraignment, if not pre-trial, give them the opportunity to settle honorably or dismiss the matter if there's no one on the other side, which 95% of the time there isn't. Mm-hmm. If they want to steamroll and push forward a matter where no one's going to show up on the other side, well, then that's not a common law court. That's not a lawful court as far as I'm concerned.
That's not lawful.
I'm not going to continue. My presumption then at that point is I'm at the wrong court. This must not be a court that recognizes man in the law of this land. This must be some administrative commercial court as verified to me at Colorado State Court that there's dual jurisdiction. So if you're not going to bring a man or woman forth on the other side to show me, tender me a bill on what I broke, what damage I did, what pain and suffering I caused you, we don't have a case. And if you're going to try to move a non-case with no one on the other side, I have to presume that this court is either A, dishonorable, which I don't typically do, or B, some entity or part of some corporation or some busyness that I can't intercourse with, I can't enter into because I don't know what they're doing. I'm not the all caps name. I'm not a corporate entity. There's no one on the other side. So who or what or how is this case even being moved unless I consent that the people is an accurate representation of the state of whatever? This is ridiculous. You have a right to face your accusers. You have a right to settle with your victim, with the victim. This is just under God. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So bring forth the victim or the accuser so that I can settle honorably. If it doesn't exist, then we got an issue, or you guys got an issue, because again, this is where then I invoke the idea of let the record show that at the arraignment process that I've never submitted, I've never given up my status and standing or jurisdiction in this matter. However, the administrator / magistrate has entered a plea on my behalf. That indicates that the person working from the bench is willing to argue the charges on my behalf, in which case I will not need to present at any more of these hearings. She's done me the best favor ever, he or she. So as soon as I ascertain we're not going to get a fair, meaningful, reasonable trial with an actual being, a living being on the other side, but a bunch of fraud and obfuscation and misrepresentations, then I just back away slowly. Thank you for your time. I must be at the wrong court. Please don't get contemptuous or loud with me, and let the record show the magistrate has entered a plea on behalf of the person, not me, on behalf of the person. So not only am I not appearing here today, I'm here by special presentment, not as a surety for that legal entity, that corporate entity, that fictitious entity. I'm not here today as a surety for that, but last meeting, I'm pretty sure that Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so acting from the bench has put in a plea on behalf of that person. That means you guys no longer even need anybody here to speak on behalf of that person or to testify on behalf of that person or to act as surety on behalf of that person, because the person on the bench has already done that. They're acting as administrator. They're acting as prosecutor. They're acting as legal defense. They're acting as every position and element of the court. Great.
Oh
That's
my God.
a great game you guys got going there. I'm going to back out slowly. We'll see you never unless you want to come drag me in and we'll have the conversation. Because that's just where we're at. Either way,
That's
you guys are
where
going
I'm
to
at.
put hands on me. Either way, I'm going to go to a box at some point, according to you guys. Either way, I don't actually have natural rights and personal choice. So let's make this fun.
Right.
Gingerbread man, I'm in the wind, right? I'm telling you
what I'm
guys, I'm
thinking.
not coming back. I didn't bond with you. I have no.
I didn't bond with him.
Yeah, you can't force performance from me in a ridiculous commercial administrative court when there's no one on the other side. We don't meet the proper elements of court. It doesn't meet proper process and procedural standards in any system.
No.
You want to talk legal system, lawful system? It doesn't meet the requirements in any jurisdiction, far as I'm concerned. So
I think they know it too. They know it. They know.
They know it.
Too.
They know it. 3 to 5 warrants didn't just go away from my record for no reason.
Exactly.
Again, I can't prove it. Either they want to get me on state or federal charges, so they wiped it clean. Can't prove it. I'm never going to give this audience information that could get them harmed or in trouble and not tell the rest of what it could be. But they just keep letting me out with no payment, no signature. It doesn't add up, dude. Doesn't add up. I've known people in the past who, when they sign the papers and they don't show up, they come get them. And then every hearing after that, they're putting bond on them because they're a flight risk. They haven't done that to me because I honor my commitments until I decide not to, and I give them proper notice, and then I leave. Yeah. The rest is up to God or them to use their will to come get me and drag me back in there if I'm a wrongdoer. Again, I just honestly believe if I was lying, cheating, stealing, killing, or pushing dope, they'd be the first ones to come to this house, knock this door in, and come drag me off. I don't deny their worldly power and what they do. Quite the opposite. I just have come to the conclusion if you're not really doing anything wrong and they don't have jurisdiction and you won't voluntarily comply and there's no actual victim on the other side, they don't have it. They don't have the juice. And then they have to decide, do we want to set an example on this kid? Because the problem then becomes, it's one thing for Paulie Boy to do this and no one to know about it. It's another thing for him to keep doing it and then talking about it on the broadcast. That's when certain parties and energies start to get involved and go, whether he's right or wrong, we may need to fuck this kid because we can't have hundreds and thousands of other folks potentially starting to do this. You know, as if ultimately me getting put in jail for X amount of time is going to stop other men and women from doing what's true and what's right. You can't stop an idea whose time has come. I'm not the God of creation. I'm just a God of all media, just a mere demigod. The God of creation has already decided we're done with this game. You reigned for X amount of time. We're going back to what's true and correct. We're going back to a light age. We have to go through some suffering and pain and tests and challenges first, but we're making the final approach, right? We're making the final turn and coming back to final approach, it would seem to me. So again, like I've said many times, you're going to see optics, as your boy says, start to ramp up. You're going to see a lot of tests and challenges and a lot of shit coming down the pike, seemingly a lot quicker. It would seem. Can't prove it. And then it would seem to me that our job is to just stay faithful, stay integral, stay convicted in what we in our heart know is true and correct, and surrender the rest. And by us being witnesses and bearing testimony to the eternal truth that God has put in our heart from day one and allowed us to fellowship here and experience, I do believe we're going to be given safe passage. I do believe, like the scripture says, the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek don't mean the weak and the quiet. The meek means the one who keep their fucking head down and keep purposeful and keep on their path and don't give a fuck about what anybody else is talking about. Those are meek motherfuckers. And they're going to inherit this earth while the rest of these motherfuckers destroy themselves and their environments.
I think that dude was possessed, dude. I think he was fucking on something or possessed.
Listen, I'm not a religious person, but I guess you could argue spiritual. And what I mean by that is I have a vision to see into the spiritual world, and that incorporates light and dark. When people say I'm spiritual and go, that's not spiritual. Spiritual means you got a vision to see light and dark. It means you're able to see the whole thing for what it is in between the lines. You're able to interpret and discern. So, sir, I mean, just as I can tell you that there's a light in my life of truth that animates me, inhabits me, co-creates with me, I can tell you there's an opposing dynamic in me and probably around me. So it doesn't surprise me when it comes up in me or when it comes up around me, because it's part of who and what we are. It's part of our connection to the universe. Then we just have to direct that and understand what's coming at us and transmute and transcend that. That's the best that I got, because that's what I do for me. I don't have any other answers except for the ones I've come to at this point for me. They may change in the future. I may have to come back at some point and say, this whole faith thing isn't what I thought it was. Didn't get me out of this. It got me into something else, and I don't see what the benefit and the purpose is of this for me. It's nothing but pain and suffering, bad and wrong. And I mean, I haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
You know? So
the guy clearly was unstable, man. He was irate. Like if that happened to me and I could like get a hold of somebody and be like, hey man, I think you hit my truck. Can we check the damages? Or is that, I mean, are you okay? Can we like pull over here and check our vehicles? You know, that's the proper way to address somebody. You don't come at them.
You know this person?
You hit my fucking truck, you fucking moron, you fucking idiot. What the fuck are you doing? I mean, it was fuck you, fuck this motherfucker. I mean, yeah, I thought I was going to fight him. No, not that, because I was eating fucking Rally's fries.
You gotta start to get really quick with. You got to keep cameras on you, and you got to record everybody as much as possible. And you got to record. You got to record your property right now and his property. You got to have a picture showing there's no damage. This guy's insane. Look at how he's acting. Look at my property. There's no dent. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm leaving. Now you just got his word versus yours.
Yeah.
So in the future, you got to record everything, man. Record this guy's antics. Record the property and where he's saying it's damaged. Right? Put a statement on record, and then, you know, this way, if they ever do drag in, or you have to account, quote unquote, have to, you got record there. Hey, see the exhibit A of this recording. This guy's insane, and there's no fucking damage there. What are we talking about? What is this? Presuming that's if you get to the last possible point where they drag you in, they're not going to let you go, and they're going to force a trial on you. I go, okay, you're not going to let me leave. You're going to force a trial? Well, let's go to the exhibits. Let's go to the record. Let's go to what's actually happening here. And I mean, again, in their world, you can have nothing going on, and seemingly they can go, well, we just don't like you, or you're guilty. Goodbye. Yeah. It's possible, I guess. Are most of them really going to do that most of the time? Probably not. Just doesn't look good on their record. Why would, you know? But again, man, everything and anything exists in this realm. Do you know this person? Have you seen them before? Because it's not above the realm of possibility that folks in this community get known somehow, some way. Again, maybe this is my paranoia, but I've seen it all at this point. It's not above the realm of possibility that folks who come here get known somehow, and that people start to show up in their life to cause these interactions, whether it's even directed physically or whether it's a spiritual dynamic. To where they're not even knowing they're involved. They're just sent into your life to like non-hit you so you can get a court appearance. I swear, bro, I've seen it. Where people start coming here, and then all of a sudden, everyone starts getting locked up. Everyone starts getting charged. Everyone starts getting bizarre cases that are like golden tickets where they didn't do nothing. And it makes it that much easier for them to practice this with little to no fear of retribution, because what did you really do? You didn't actually do anything. You weren't drunk. You weren't high. You didn't do it. No. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a possibility there. And the guy
actually, what that is I'm pretty sure, man. I've seen it over and over again. Jennifer, I contact Jennifer. We start dealing with each other. I come out to her area. Within 6 months, she gets a ticket for weeds on her lawn. I go, I remember that. She goes, I've been here 20 years. I've never got charged with anything. I go, Jennifer, I told you when we start doing this, you're going to start seeing the universe open up and start playing with you. It's going to play back. Right. So out of nowhere, some dude just rolls up and goes, you got a weed that's 8 inches high. It can only be 6 inches. Until you trim that, you could be arrested. Bro, they threatened her on paperwork, said she could be arrested and all for weed. This is a teacher. This is a 20-year teacher. Special education teachers, never had a criminal record, never been charged with anything.
That's the same with me, bro. I'm a fucking firefighter, local firefighter, and the goddamn city police is trying to arrest me.
Hey, bro, you guys wanted to hang with Paulie Unslaved. You thought this was a game over here. This is not. We're not playing games.
This shit's for real, y'all.
Yeah, it gets real, bro. It'll start talking to you and playing back, and then you got to play back, you know, or you just say, "Hey, I don't want to play."
Yeah, you stay, or you can stay
I
a
don't want to
slave.
play. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can
And
stay
then
a
the
slave.
thing's going to decide for you how much you're going to play or not. Because reality is, bro, you need the experience anyway. You can't come here and listen to me 500 days straight talking courting, legal, and lawful and not put up or shut up. Yous are all going to get it at some point coming here. If you don't want to, stay the fuck away from here. The joke is, even if you stay away from here, you're not going to get what you need as far as the parlance and getting clicked in for when it comes, and it's going to come anyway. I'm just somehow or another, by me being here and us being here, it expounds the process. It's exponential. So it hastens everything. It quickens everything. It's like the scripture says, where two or more gathered is the spirit of the Christed being. So when we come here and do what we do here based on what it's based on, it starts moving and shaking and giving everybody what the fuck they need. You can't even argue with it. There's no way to figure out how it works. There's no way to try to understand it. Just know that it's going to happen and be thankful and grateful for it, as weird as that sounds. Because that's how you know that the thing is moving. When something completely ridiculous happens around you and you start feeling, this is uncharacteristic of my life. What's going on here? And then you go, oh, I just did 500 days straight with Paulie Boy talking about legal and lawful spiritual faith and courting. Of course I'm going to get a silver platter test challenge simulation. This is the point of how you start to figure out that God as an experience is real. It shows through synchronicity. It shows through co-creation and experience. At some point, there'll be no way of denying it, right? Every person who comes here who has these experiences will become a godly, faithful, at some point, honor-able being who sees and is connected to life on life's terms and understands the universe is active. It's living. It's connected to you. You're connected to it. It's going to bring you somehow, some way, everything that you need to go to the next level. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Right? And then what I'm finding more and more is we can plan, we can strategize, we can do all that in and of the mind. The heart space is where it's at. You need to know what you need to know as far as a certain common sense. That's more about how to think than what to think. And then the rest of it is being a faithful, honorable, presentable man when it calls for it. You know, the rest will be fleshed out some way, somehow. That's the best I have of an explanation of what this is, because a lot of you are now going to have and see and feel the same things I've been experiencing. And this is the best I have for you. Like, we're walking on this journey. It's going to start to open up to you. And I'm going to have to be the guru, non-guru, the daddy, non-daddy to go, I don't know how this works exactly, but this is the best I have for you for what I do in these situations, or what I think, or what I feel. And I gotta I gotta surrender the rest over, because the reality is, man, like the Christ being said, greater things than I you shall do. I can't believe that I'm the teacher, the guru, the leader. In order to be a teacher, guru, leader, you have to become the student again. That's as cliche and old as the hills. So ultimately, other folks here are going to be turned on to this experience. They're going to have it for themselves. It's going to take over with them in their life. And basically, my job is done at that point. We can then do fellowship and compare stories and compare remedies. But ultimately, you're locked in now. You're aligned. The synchronicities are going to start opening up. You got to start having your own relationship with this God thing, this experience, this universe, these co-creations, this art of living. Right. So, you could argue what I'm doing here may have benefits to me and others. It may have detriments, because I may be playing a dangerous game of opening up a world to a bunch of people who may not have been meant for it at this time, but have made a decision with their will to do it. So now they've opened it, and it's going to be what it's going to be. If that makes sense. I don't completely know how that karma and that works. I know these people seem to think Paulie Boy and others got no business talking occultism and the hidden secrets of the universe and self-knowledge to a bunch of people, because you're going to open a door to them that they may not know how to handle. They may not know how to cognize it and cope with it. They may go insane. A lot of folks are not necessarily equipped to handle the idea that the universe is connected to them. They're connected to it, and it can talk to you. Not audibly. Not audibly. I'm not saying I'm hearing voices. You got to be careful about that, because they'll say you're, this is clear most of the time. I'm sort of just like clear. And then the majority of my action comes from heart space intelligence, and then watching for the synchronicity or having the synchronicity thrust before me,
Yeah, at the moment he asked me for my information, that crazy bastard, at the stop sign there that day. At the moment he asked me for my information, I knew that if I refused and drove off, that there could possibly be some fucking things happen in my life that this may happen. So I was like, fuck you. I didn't do nothing wrong. Your shit's not fucked up. I'm going about my business, dude. And whatever happens, happens. So, and here I am. I ain't locked
Right,
up
but
yet.
now you got to also remember the other side of this game. Just because you get some belief or some knowledge that you can do whatever you want to do unless you cause loss, injury, and harm or owe debt, doesn't mean that you act like an asshole prick to everybody. You know, this guy may be going through something. He may have just lost somebody. He may be in a certain kind of space and going off on you. It's probably be better for you and him. I'm not telling you to like second guess what happened. What happened was meant to happen for however it works. I'm just saying be ultra conscious and aware that you have an influence. And the more that you walk this path, you have more of an influence. So try to get in touch with the side of you that can be loving and caring and forgiving, that can be a steward, that can be an influence in a positive sense to somebody who might be ready to lose their mind and going out of their mind.
Well, that's hard to do when he's calling you a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? He's calling you a motherfucker and coming at you.
Hard. Don't tell me about hard. That sounds childish. It's hard. Yeah, most things in life worth doing are. Don't you agree?
No, I didn't say it's hard. I said he's coming at me, calling me a motherfucker, like wanting to basically.
You didn't say it's hard to do that. I thought you said, okay, my mistake then. I thought you said it's hard to do that when he's coming at you.
No. That's not hard and fucking. I'm saying whenever somebody is, you don't know what's going on, and somebody is cussing at you. It's a weird situation. It doesn't happen every day to me, anyway. You know what I mean?
I get that. Again, I'm not telling you that I've perfected it by any means. I'm just saying that what I believe I've become aware of is that there are certain times where we have to learn to shift gears and yield, right? And it's not necessarily yield and submission to the person, place, or thing. It's yield to the moment and what the moment is calling forth from you to be part of, if that makes sense. So if I'm able to, if I can, if I'm out of that worldly sort of manly, masculine state of consciousness and I'm more balanced and centered, I go, what's going on right now? What are my options? What can I possibly do to change the energy here to benefit everybody involved? Versus, fuck you, I don't have the time, I'm going about my business, I'll see you when I see you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you don't have a right to go about your business, and if you didn't do wrong to go, this is insane. I'm just saying, is there maybe a different way that we can handle it that will work for us and everyone else?
Yeah, there's always different ways. Definitely. But at that particular time, there wasn't.
I got Justin and I have Noni Heavens. Nani.
It's Bonnie.
He's correcting me back there.
Nani is my Hawaii name. That's my alias.
Right.
Hippies. Anyway. Hi,
all right.
people.
How are you?
I'm okay. I had a friend recommend coming onto your show that you know who basically I'm in a hotbed of corruption here, and I mean, I'm sure police are corrupt everywhere, but so back in February, a police officer decided to assault me and charge me wrongfully with assault against a law enforcement officer. Surprise, surprise! But
that don't surprise me. They wouldn't lie.
The surprise, big surprise. But the thing is, as time goes on, I've found out just exactly how corrupt the system here is, in that they move to just pretrial jail indigent citizens, and trump up charges to bully them into taking pleas for things when they're obviously innocent. And the prosecution does everything they can to hide the evidence with no checks or balances from the judge. The judge doesn't care that they withhold the evidence. They let them do what they want everywhere. They get away with all of this. But in my case, like, the evidence has been spilling out. Like, to, say that I assaulted him, it comes to be found out that back in December just before 2023 happened, my former partner, who's highly police connected person here, he's Hawaiian, and his family was all police, and then he has also another side of the family.
And I want to just go backward because I'm always fascinated. I did this bit yesterday. Why would you? I have a feeling, but let's gamble. Why would you live on Hawaii?
I've been here for almost 20 years. And
I didn't ask how long you've been there. I asked you why you would go there.
Probably because, once I
because it's sunny and beautiful and it's paradise and there's water.
Yeah,
isn't that right?
Lots of fresh fruit. There's
lots of low lives there and lots of drugs and lots of policy enforcement and you know what? There's not lots of guns in the hands of regular people.
No, there's lots of guns of regular people here.
Oh no, there's guns in the hands of the scum who push the drugs, but you can't have a gun. I'm sure.
No,
Am I wrong?
The only thing that stops people from having a gun here, and there is a lot of people who own guns here, is that they have a stupid law. So if you get your medical marijuana license here, you can't.
Must have a permit to purchase guns. Must register.
Yeah, but this is a highly gun-toting state. There's a lot of hunters here. Everybody hunts pigs here. Everybody has guns here, even though this is a left.
Yeah, those are one-shot long guns and shotguns that they get by permit to hunt pigs. That they do that on Mexico too, right? Mexico has plenty of guns. You can have shotguns to hunt pigs, but
guns, and they just basically sold any of their permitted guns when they got medical marijuana licenses, if they got them. But a lot of people just own guns and don't get medical marijuana licenses.
Yeah, I'm just, again, I mean,
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, hey, I just got a text from the person who actually issues the fucking warrant. She said, I never heard back from the judge, but I haven't issued the bench warrant either. I'll ask her tomorrow when she comes in and get back to us.
Okay. How do you have personal communications with the...
Or was it the...
Yep. I was talking to everybody I could talk to, bro.
Okay.
You can't actually talk with the judge outside
yes, you can.
proceedings. I think there's something illegal about that.
I sat down by the bitch and watched the fucking baseball games with her many a night. She smiled at me. I smiled at her. She probably thought about fucking me. I probably thought about fucking her. That's neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there. Well,
hey, put it in God's hands. That's what I told my mama earlier today.
Hold on a second. This guy's about as down home as you're gonna get.
Fucking right.
What's with you and that broad who's in the chat who's never got anything good to say about you anymore? Like, what's up with that situation? Feather Bear.
What? I'm not in the chat. I'm fucking talking to y'all.
Feather Bear. I'm asking you. Because she just said something like she's got this thing with having to like call you out and humiliate you, and that's something she's gonna have to work on, right?
She does need to work on that.
She needs to learn how to become the cosmic mama for the boys who need it. Instead of going, look at the boys and how they act and humiliate them and insult them, become the change that can help to facilitate a change in the men around you, right? There's no point in denigrating them, shitting on them, humiliating them, acting like they can't do no right. We all have our faults. We all have our shortcomings. We all are at odds at times with other beings on the opposite side, supposedly opposite side, the complementary side, right? The other gender, because we're complementary as creatures, right? So there's times where we're going to not be on the same page. There's going to be a bit of resistance. And the only way through that is by sharing honestly and being accountable and learning to actually love, and that means forgive yourself, the people you're with, that we all don't have it together. We're all not perfect. We're all learning on the job here, right? So we need to cut it out with the bitterness and the resentment. We need to cut it out with the disrespect of yourself by disrespecting him, because I'm sure, again, I can do the analysis. I can see places by knowing myself that he's probably falling short in that relationship. Have you met a man yet who hasn't fallen short in fucking relationship? So what are we really saying here? That every woman has realized that every man in their life is not perfect and not going to be completely what the fuck their heart has set on. So are we going to work together to become that? Or are we just going to point out that nobody is that at this time? Right? If that makes sense. You know, like, when do we actually become life partners in this shit to steward ourselves and each other, to become a better version of ourselves and each other? You're not going to be able to do that with bitterness, resentment, wanting to, you know, constantly call out the other without calling yourself out. And this is a common theme, especially with women. They think because they got a list of men who are going to tell them they love them and pay for their shit that they're infallible.
33. They all got 33 men in their inbox, I was told.
As a woman, I agree with you, Paul. I don't fucking think so.
I'm not. Listen, there's exceptions. There's exceptions to all of these experiences. I'm just talking about the kind of the generalized public and modern day consideration. I'm not saying that the most self-respecting, honorable, purposeful, meaningful woman who's co-creating in her life has an inbox full of men. There may be men waiting or trying to get a shot, but she may not necessarily be entertaining that, right? But again, I'm speaking generally because I don't
boxed up idiot men who think they can buy women too. There's like, I mean, it goes.
I don't deny that. I don't play again. There's no reason to go to the.
Every single person or both you can't generalize a gender to say that they play it.
No, I actually can, and you don't need to get upset because I call these men out more than I call the women out. I'm not sexist. I'm not genderist. I don't see it from only one side or the other. I see a failure on both sides of apprehending what's happening, why, and then how to get to the next level. We're supposed to be complementary to each other to get each other to the next level. We're not complimentary to point out all day how the other one's not like us. We're not supposed to be. That's God's interesting game for all of us. That men and women are opposites. We're the same as a spirit, but as a body, we're complementary. It's going to cause a whole bunch of conversations and interactions to happen for our benefit if we let it be. It'll be to our detriment if we let it be. That's the choice that all of us have in ourselves and in these relationships. What are you going to let this be for you and everyone else involved? A detriment or a benefit? Because believe it or not, we always have that choice. It's really about the perspective that you choose.
Yep.
You know,
don't choose a highly police connected and crime syndicate connected man who ends up having a drug problem, or you'll end up getting your car smashed and assaulted by police, and then said that it's you who assaulted them. So you know.
Right, but now we're back. I'm guessing you're not. You're talking about a friend, right? That's a friend. Right, but the reality is you, and forgive me for being triggering, were the goofy bitch who thought that status and worldly power was something that was attracted to you.
I wasn't the goofy bitch that thought that status and worldly power were nothing. I had no idea was connected with
NDB, please.
He's a fucking construction foreman. It wasn't a fucking anything like.
Then why are you saying you're dating police and that they're calling other police on you?
His family is highly connected with the HPD. I didn't know, and I didn't date him because his cousin was the chief deputy.
Oh, okay. So then maybe that's my mistake. That's my mistake potentially. So then what drew you to this man and kept you with this man?
That was my next question.
And he spoke white boy. Most local people don't know how to hit on a wahini out here, and they're very kind of, they're kind of, it's kind of like, I don't know, like I don't like how black boys hit on me because they're too aggressive. It was kind of like that, but
they're honest. That's the thing. You want to. This is my point. You want to be bullshitted and lied to. You want to be bullshitted and lied to, and that.
School, so he talked white boy.
Right. This is the inauthentic corporate male. This is why most women won't date me. That's why I do horribly with women. Because if I'm going to approach a woman at all, I'm going to approach like.
he was a good guy. He fixed my stuff.
He's not a good guy. You just told me you're cutting in and out now. I'm not doing that. You are being a goofy bitch right now. So if you weren't before, you are now. Because you just told me he's a piece of shit and then said he's a good guy. Why? Because he was able to.
Why I dated him.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah.
I asked you what your perspective was, and you gave me everything I needed. That he's a piece of garbage, but he got in your pants and into your life because he was able to bullshit you. The black guy is hitting on you directly and being honest. Hey, I want to fuck. Maybe if we fuck, we're going to like connect and then we're going to have a long relationship together. He's bullshitting you. Hey, I love you, or you're interesting. Tell me about your friend. Let's go to dinner. Let's go to Olive Garden. This is my point. This is why most women will not entertain me, because I will be completely honest and direct and real, and they're not looking for that. They're looking for some inauthentic corporate male to bullshit them and bring them flowers.
But you can't sum up my relationship or why I dated somebody in 2 seconds of it.
Yes, I can, and I just did. I just did it effectively as well.
There isn't even an
This is a feat. No. That's not how this broadcast works. You don't want it to work that way, but this is how this broadcast works. That we get the same people here, because we're all one self, who tell the same stories about how they're deceived and then don't like the outcomes when it was their lack of discernment that got them there to begin with. So instead of you screening a man for being honorable, authentic, accountable, response-able, true to self, and an actual real man, you wanted someone to hit on you in a way that made you feel something. And oh boy, does it make you feel something after they show you who the real person is and how it's really going to go. That's why, again, you have most women who will never respect me and how I live and how I approach. And there's a small minority of women who've been through the ringer, been through it all, and they love and appreciate the way that I am, because we don't play games, we don't beat around the bush, we don't bullshit ourselves and each other. And if it doesn't work out, we move on and we experience with other people and other options. So that starts with the woman. The woman has to cherish reality more than her fantasy, is what I've learned here with the majority of women. They have to put the truth and reality above their desires and fantasies. The desire and fantasy is not real. And if you're not going to interact with a man who's going to keep it real with you, you're going to get bullshitted, lied on, and you're going to get your trust broken. And you're probably going to get cheated on too, because newsflash, men are not monogamous creatures. So if you think you're going to be the one and only forever, it's probably not going to happen. Even if it's just mentally first and foremost. Like they used to say, if you're cheating in your mind, you're cheating in reality, whether you want to admit it or not. If you're thinking about fucking every other woman you deal with, then it's in you. It's not on you, right? So we're better off as men and women talking to each other about these dynamics and trying to achieve reconciliation and resolution, rather than seemingly being resistant, put off, confused, desiring, fantasizing, ignoring reality.
You know what? While I'm listening to this little diatribe, it kind of reminds me of my own testimony with the other sex. You know, like.
Of course it does, Emmanuel.
Why is this about gender? I don't even know, because that's not even what I mean.
You're talking over everyone. You're talking over everyone, and it's not working. This isn't all about you.
You know, every woman that I remember that I was like head over heels for, like, you know, the typical cliche, like butterflies in the stomach, all of those women have been taken out of my life by the thing, right? And it wasn't until I kind of got over, I buried the whole, literally buried, put it on the funerary pyre and lit it on fire and said, I'm not going to go for that illusion anymore. And once I started focusing more on, you know, acknowledging that thing and the cues that it was giving me in life, that's when it put somebody in my life, literally put somebody in my life, someone I could not deny, really. Did I feel head over heels for this person? Not really, not at first. But for some reason or another, once I got my shit together, that thing said, you need to align yourself with her. And she's just been like the straight up out of the way type of person that understands me and is helping me build my life. Like I had to realize that I got that because I was able to sacrifice the illusion the illusion that I think most of us are like sold into accepting some way, somehow. Disney, the whole Disney World illusion of romance and or whatever we want to call it, love, that's all fake, you know. This is really about a loving exchange in service to one another. And if you can't align with that, you'll always live in chaos.
All right. It's all about being centered, that's for sure.
Yeah, if the man isn't centered in himself and he's too, you know, misaligned and he's chasing ass and wanting to fuck every woman he sees out there, you know, then that's gonna draw you some kind of negative result in your life, or you know, I've just had it in my personal experience of life. I've seen it. That's the way the universe showed it to me, and I'm playing the other side now. You know, I'm on the other side of the coin, and I'm realizing that, you know, a lot of these women have too much of an ego. They're too in their own way, and I was at fault for chasing that type of woman. You know, I had that desire for that kind of woman, and that's not really. It doesn't help. It doesn't help a man, and it doesn't help a woman if they are going to come together to co-create and make something real. You know, if not, you're just kind of like what I'm saying. You're pissing into the wind, and it doesn't make any sense, really. Your life is just going to be one big mistake if you continue to fall for the illusion. And with that, I yield.
You're muted there. You're muted, Hawaii.
Yeah, I had to reset. It seems.
Yeah, I seen you're gone.
By the next day or two, I'm gonna have the other system here, so it should mitigate these issues.
Right.
Where are we at here in the interaction?
We were trying to get to the bottom of her story at one point, but I don't know if we're going to continue.
Right. Her story is not any different than anyone else's. Nobody's special and unique here. That's the thing that everyone's
by the police
forgetting.
For fucking him trying to cover up for a false police report that he made 2 years prior, where my former partner smashed my car with his truck and then lined up to try to smash my other car, which I got in front of.
Right. Can we get back to what you did and how you created the life you experienced versus what he did?
Talking about the metaphorical stuff here, and
okay, then I'll see you later. I'm not here to do the broadcast. Please don't talk over me. I'm not here to do the broadcast you want to do. I'm here to do the broadcast you need to be done. So we are going to continue to talk about thoughts, emotions, and actions and how it creates the life that we live. If you don't want to do that, then you don't want to learn and change. You want to make someone else the enemy and play the victim. I'm not interested in that nonsense. That's the problem with the majority of women. They want to play the victim instead of be accountable for how they've created the life they've experienced. Yeah, you're laughing and giggling because I didn't go for your bullshit, right? It's kind of attractive, huh? Don't you wish you had a man who was real and honorable and honest and could lead you?
I want to make this about men and women. Their story is not my story either. That's why I'm laughing, because I think that's
again, it's self-evident. It's self-evident and obvious that you have some reflection and introspection to do to be accountable for what you're creating. And rather than you wanting to do that, you'd rather focus on how he's the bad guy, but you let him into your walls. Whether it's your four walls or your vaginal walls.
The cop's the bad guy. The cops and the entire judiciary now.
You just said that he rammed your car and lied.
He did.
Okay, so you're lying now. You're lying now. You're completely dysfunctional. How are you going to attract a man who's honorable and successful when you're completely ditzy and dysfunctional right now? How's that going to happen?
I'm ditzy and dysfunctional.
You just said he's a bad man. He's not a bad man. You won't even rest on whether.
I said he slammed his truck into my car.
He ran into you and then lied about it. That's a bad man.
The police lied about it, not him. He has openly admitted it.
I can't even get her to tell me the fuck. She keeps changing the story. This is another problem. We can't get the accurate story.
I've never gotten to say the story.
Yeah. I just said, and you agreed with me, and then you disagreed with me.
No, I never got to say my story. I never got to
How could the police lie if he's the... It's not making any sense.
He was gone. He was gone. The police lied. The police they decided to lie because he is the chief deputy's cousin, first cousin. And so the police lied. He had nothing to do with it, actually. He never even they chased him down like a year later to give a statement. He probably told them exactly what happened. They didn't do anything about it. They just lied in the police report and called it $200 worth of car parts. And then the same police officer, when I said, like a year and a half later, as the situation evolved and he never fixed my car like he said he would, the police never had served him a TRO when I originally filed the criminal property damage report, or I thought I did, but the police just lied and called it $200 worth of car parts. And when I
let's try to get this straight again. The guy you were with hit your car and left?
He drove off after he did that. Yeah. He wasn't even there, and the police just made up a story to keep him from getting a felony. The police did. The police are the ones that lied about it.
Why? Okay, we're shifting the blame now. Why is he not a bad man if he hit your car and refused to pay for the damage?
He's just not the bad man that's at the focus of my concern. Like my now.
Right, so we're shifting the blame now to the police in hopes that I'll focus on them.
This same fucking police officer who falsified the report.
Is it possible that you're just really bad at screening mates?
Of law and false pretenses and falsely arrested me and threw me on my face with cuffs on and called it assault against a law enforcement officer just to keep me from finding out about that falsified report. And that's my problem now. That's what I'm dealing with now. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He did that. That was fucked up. Now my problem is being fucking tied in with the whole entire fucking corrupt judiciary here, all trying to
right, but that's what happens when you have domestic issues with your partner. So I want to get to the root of it.
Generally, the rule
you're talking over me constantly, a bad quality if you want to get a successful man who you're going to have back and forth with. Horrible quality as a woman to start shouting and talking over a man when he's speaking constantly.
Yeah. Well,
so I
want to all the Jersey girls, you know.
I don't fuck or date Jersey goofy bitches or bitches from New York because they all have that.
Whatever fucking.
Because they all have fucking attitudes like you do and can't shut up and listen and take direction. It's a problem for them, not me, because I just don't deal with them.
Why?
They can go find somebody to deal with who will hit their car, ride off, and then not be accountable. That's who they're relegated to fucking.
His entire life, he has a TBI. Yeah,
right, and you're not either. So it makes sense that you were with each other because you're not accountable either. You're perfect for each other.
Did it really well, and then
you're perfect for each other. You're bad at hiding it. He's at least good at hiding it. You're horrible at it. So you're perfect for each other because neither of you will be responsible or accountable. You're showing it right here. You attract
responsibility every day.
You attract who and what you are. You attract who and what you are. You're being irresponsible and unaccountable here. It makes sense you attracted him.
Okay.
When you change who and what you are and how you're responding and accounting and how you're emoting and conversing, you will attract someone different. With different qualities.
For somebody. I literally can't.
I'm not telling you you're looking for someone. You'll attract a different lifestyle. Hello?
A restraining order.
I'm not saying you're
someone else.
I can't interact with you. You're too bitter. You're too angry. You're too resistant. You're too frustrated. You won't fucking listen to what I'm saying. So you don't respect me in my experience. You don't respect me, the host of the broadcast, experience and word. So why talk to me or interact with me? This is what you probably do with a man you're sleeping with. He goes, why come to me? You don't respect me in my experience. You're not listening to what the fuck I'm saying. So just go do it on your own. Figure it out on your own. Can't help you, sweetie. You're not listening. You don't want to understand. You don't respect me or my experience. What can I do for you then? If you don't respect me and my experience, won't shut up and listen, what can I do for you or with you exactly?
It was just honestly trying to get my story out because I feel like it's
no, fuck you. This isn't a fucking sounding board for you people and your victimization to get your story out. Start a channel and holler your story out to someone who gives a fuck. I'm interested in you being and getting better. not whining like a victim and telling a whole bunch of other broken people how you're victimized and get your story out. You created the life you're experiencing. And rather than you be accountable to change it, make it better, you want to ignore it to play the victim and get your story out. Not interested. That's the bane of our existence at this point. She's still talking in the back when she can't be heard. Mouth is still going like this a mile a minute. Can't even be seen or heard, and she's still yapping at the fucking screen. It's fascinating. You need to go find a goofy women's group who don't care about accountability, responsibility, think all women should be perpetual victims, and they can just shout their story out to everyone and go, look at me, I have a story. And then when we dig into it, how it got that way, you'll all say, we don't want to talk about who we are, what we've done and created to get to where we are or not. That's a problem. She's still yapping in the back.
Experience with women.
Amazing.
Okay.
Right, there you go with your bitterness and resentment telling me what I don't know about myself and therefore you and women, right? You really got it together. You seem to know yourself. You seem to know women because a woman with a pussy speaks for all women, right? You know all women because of what you do and don't do. There's your arrogance. It's not about men and women. You started this saying it wasn't about men and women. I'm not making it about men and women. I'm making it about right and wrong, what makes sense and what doesn't. Discernment versus lack of awareness. There's no gender involved in that. I'll bring up 10 fucking bozos here with a penis, and I'll show you they have little to no self-awareness, keep creating horrible lives for themselves, and won't be accountable to how they're doing it, to change it. Your thoughts, Tarek, Julian?
She won't listen. And
it's passive aggressive. It's bitterness and resentment, and it's obviously lies and mistrust and trauma, like it always is, from starting with her daddy, I'd bet anything on it, and going down the line to every other dishonest beta male loser that she's fucked or co-created with. Now she can't listen to me. She won't listen to me. Because I represent them. I'm going to do what they did. She can't take the new information and the understanding. We'll get there at some point if she sticks around and she, starts to feel out this place and what I do here and starts to develop trust and feel safe here, the dynamic will change. But I don't deny why she's doing it. I know why she's doing it. I would bet anything on it. If I go to her background, the father and every beta male she's dealt with is a lying, cheating, disingenuous, cowardly scum who's bad faith and ungodly. I'd bet anything on it. Seen it a billion fucking times. I'm the example of it as well. There's no separation between me and her, gender-wise. I'm telling you my story. And it's hers as well. I'd bet anything on it. So the distrust, the broken trust, the trauma, right? The lack of safety has caused this wedge between the majority of men and women at this time. And it has to be healed. It has to be reconciled. That's what I'm interested in doing here, chiefly. Remember I said we started legal and lawful, then I had to go backward to proper instruction motivates people, the dynamic between men and women, starting with the dynamic between self and self, because it's completely fucked. Yeah. So before we get to court, we have to go to courting. That's your relationship with yourself and the opposite sex. Till we address that and correct that, talking about how we're going to present at court is fucking nonsense, because the court's going to look at you and go, this person's dysfunctional. This person has a bizarre relationship with themselves and the opposite sex. This person can't communicate properly and effectively. We need a competency test here on what this person's mental, emotional, spiritual malfunction is. We all know what it is. And quite frankly, most of these people who are going to do that judgment are not fit to make it because they come from the same fucked up families and homes and society and culture. But that's not going to change the dynamic because they have some level of discernment and awareness just like I do. They're going to go, let's get to the root of this first before we ever address these cases. Who are you? What do you do for a living? What's your background? They're going to have a back and forth with you. They're going to look at your relationship history at court or whatever is presented to them, and they're going to make an on-the-fly determination about you, your family, what stock you come from, whether you've been raised properly or not, whether you understand objective logic, morals, and ethics or not. You know, so this all has to come into the conversation and into the lifestyle, I would think. So you got me. Hold on a second. Yeah. What is that? What is that?
Oh, I don't know. It's not for me.
I got strange noises, dinosaurs, snakes. I don't know what it is. I'm hearing things now. I'm
Oh,
hallucinating.
maybe it is me, Paul. I'm under a tree. There's birds. Hold on, I'll get away.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. I had a speaker on in the back with this audio, and I'm hearing And I'm like, what? I'm like, is the demon fully coming out of me or coming into the room? Like, what are we doing? And no, it's traffic, is what it was behind you. So
Paul, I got a question. Like, is it me
yeah,
or
let's
just...
refocus. Let's recenter. We'll get back to Nani at some point. I think it'd be best if she spent some time here. I get the feeling she's rather new. So I think she even said that. She said in the beginning she was recommended to come here. My new suggestion, right, for everyone when they first come here is just hang out a while. Do like 2-3 weeks and just kind of play in the background, hang and chat, listen to what we do here. Don't come right in, because then I'm going to hit you with a ton of bricks. You're going to go, what the fuck just happened? And there's a good chance you're going to take off and never come back. So, like, this is my new prescription for everyone who comes here. Do the first 2 to 3 weeks just observing, right? We'll do it in reverse. Because if you come up here, then you never wind up observing, and then we taint the experience, right? Not the good kind of taint either, the bad kind. Not the kind that tickles, the kind that hurts. Yeah, what do you got, Tarek? And then we're going to go to the docket. Julian's here if you got anything. Julian, Justin as well, Emmanuel, others. Pipe up if you got it.
I got a question for the guy that was speaking earlier
Camera
about...
off. Camera off. You're not the most attractive being, and it's better for my bandwidth.
I'll go off. Yeah.
And then you as well. Not the first statement. I'm not talking about your physicality, but just for my upload and download, if you can shut your camera off, I'd appreciate it, because I'm having connection issues. You're definitely more attractive than Tarek. I'll give you that. That's not saying much.
She is, yeah. What I was saying is the guy up top that was talking about him not going to court and him not showing up, then he all of a sudden said that they got a text message through some bond. My question is, why is he like relating to them through any kind of I don't get that.
I get what you're saying. Why is he? Because again, when you start doing this, you get fearful and you want to check in and check up. And I kind of get it, right? What's that now?
Take your one of this.
No, I got to mute. I'm going to put you on mute. Okay, so yeah, he's like wanting to know what's going to happen. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? That's part of becoming a more faithful person, is cutting out the part of you that goes, what's going to happen next? Because turns out we can never actually figure out completely what's going to happen next. I know that's scary, but that's life. So try as we might, gather all the pieces of intel and information, we can never quite completely figure out what's going to happen next. So we just surrender that in faith. I don't know what's going to happen next. I just know what I'm going to do and not do here and now. And then we take it as we go,
Yeah, that's correct. That's what I did. I don't know what's going to happen. I just do me and that's it.
Again, that's a person who understands the value of learning to live in faith. Most people in this life, it's counterintuitive to them. They've lived their whole life trying to get more data, trying to get more information, trying to know what's going to happen next and trying to control it. Right. So again, part of being a man of faith at times is relinquishing your control of certain things through the realization that you're not in control. Something else somewhere is in control, as hard as that is to comprehend. The ego wants to say, I'm always in control. I generate all my outcome. Just like I told that woman, she creates the life she experiences on some level. And then everything else after that, she's not in control of. So it's a this and that, right? We have to look at what are we doing and being and what are we creating? And then what is coming into our life or what is part of our experience? And then, how do we experience that or co-create with that? So, yeah, I mean, I could argue there's always some thought, emotion, action, or lack thereof that generates our reality. Unless something is completely random, I'd say there's a randomness component and a deterministic component, in the sense of there's a choice. Part of this reality obviously is choice that leads to a cause and effect. And then part of this is a universal construct where somehow, some way, based on who you are, what you're thinking and feeling and doing, you influence the quantum field and it brings something into your experience. So I don't know if I'm languaging that out good enough. But yeah, man, that seems to be part of this practice is NDB and I and others here are going to have to practice more and more going, well, what's actually happening? How am I dealing with this? And then not being able to know what's going to happen next. Can I surrender in faith that all things will be reconciled some way, somehow, because I'm not doing wrong? You know, this is the difference between the completely worldly left brain consciousness and the consciousness that says, I have a left brain. I understand I have to do the next right thing, go to work, provide for myself and my family, create something. And then there's the right brain intuitive side that says something else is going on here. You know, so it would seem to me we kind of have to become holistic in the sense of it's this and that. We're left brain and right brain united in doing the next right thing and surrendering to the intuitive, instinctual, co-creative experience of the Holy Spirit, which has been here from the beginning of time. We're not making this up. This is an experience. A lot of us are having it. It is real. Folks have called it God from the beginning of time. And it works if you work it, just like they'll tell you at NAAA. NAAA is just the revelation of this information. You got to have a higher power. You got to be in service to that. You got to attempt to have objective logic, morals, and ethics. You got to make amends with wrongs you've done in the past, right? You have to repent and reconcile. NAAA is essentially taking pieces of a spiritual practice that works for the being if you work it, you know, and opens you up to a universal religious / spiritual experience. But of course, like I said earlier, a religious / spiritual experience incorporates a godly component, the ultra light, so to speak, and then the devil / darkness component, right? So, yeah, this is why, again, a lot of folks, I think, subconsciously, intuitively don't want to look into spirituality and God because they already know somehow, some way, the information's all within them. They already know if I walk this path, the universe is going to open up to me. If it opens up to me, I'm going to have to do and be and experience more. I don't want that. I just want to go to work, pay my bills, fuck a little bit, have a drink, have my friends, buy some shit, and check out, right? I want to live a life of non-activation. And I think that's what most people are experiencing. And more as time goes on, people are being pulled over from the non-activated side to the activated side because they realize despite what they want, this is what they need. They don't want the test and the challenge and the obligations and the work, the shadow work and the negativity. And they don't want to have to rise to the occasion. But they become aware at some point that what you want doesn't matter. You need to come over to that side. Right. And the universe is going to push you over to that side. The last 4 years is proof. The inflation rate is proof. Right. All of these elements we're seeing on the world stage, to me, are proof of a dynamic squeezing you more and more into coming out of the unactivated side of life to the activated side of life and then becoming what you've always been meant to be that you've neglected. Right. So. I don't have to do the facilitation here because the universe is already doing it. If I'm part of it, it's part of me and it's already working double and triple time. You don't want to come here. You don't want to do fellowship with me. You don't want to be like radically accountable and authentic. The universe is going to force it out of you one way or another. You know, it's just how it seems to work. What's going on, Ace?
Just right here, just getting some shit done right now, just listening to you right now. So I'll be hanging out.
All right. Appreciate you, brother.
You got it, brother.
I'm going to mute you up. Let's go to the docket a little bit. Let's play around with some of that. Why the hell not? It's up there. When evil cops get owned by their boss. Let's try some of that. Forgot to look. Is there a... hold on. Hold on, people. We're on the fly here. I want a Hello World update. Chile De Castro. Oh, he did. Okay. I need it. It's synchronistic. Someone's whistling. They're bird calling. Is that Mike Tyson? I have a Mike Tyson segment. He might be here with us. Oh, that's right. KARL LENTZ. Hold on a second before we move forward, because I did say KARL LENTZ is going to join us here. I didn't say that. I put it up as a question, which means I didn't really state it. I just kind of made you believe that might happen. But I'm going to call him now. I got to thank Kenneth F. Thank you, Kenneth F., for your contribution. That's from yesterday. All right, let's see here.
54024503118 is not available. The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages.
All right. So that's that. I sent him a text message yesterday. Okay, he just texted me back. All right, I'm going to send him a voice message. Hey, how you doing, Mr. LENTZ? This is Paul Enslaved. I don't know if you're aware of me, but we pretty much do a broadcast live every day. We're heavy into the common law situation. We share a lot of your material. I just wanted to see if you were open to sharing an interaction with me and the audience. And of course, this communication is essentially my way of saying or showing respect, right? So if you know me or you get to know me, you'll know that I love all people, but I respect few. So yeah, this is kind of my way of communicating that and then opening a line of communication for the audience because I see value in your work. And of course, I value myself and the work that I'm doing, and I see that it resonates, that it's aligned. Yeah. Sort of always kind of a bit odd. Like I never quite know like what to say at first. Imagine that, the god of all media, silver and gold tongue gorilla, not knowing what to say. But yeah, man, we'll see if he gets back to me at some point. We'll see what the deal is as far as cash or whatever else. A lot of these folks, they seem to require some kind of donation or money in order to interact. I don't typically like that. I don't typically do that. As a matter of fact, I've never done that. But again, my way of doing life and business in general typically isn't everyone else's. So I can't blame anybody else for doing whatever it is that they believe is necessary and proper. So we'll see what he has to say. I was told, I just want Paul to tell me everything's going to be all right. Well, yeah, it is, especially after you die, right? After this body dies, none of this realm seems to matter anymore, right? Because you're not in a material form unless you reincarnate. I can't prove one way or the other. I don't think anyone can, whether we take on another form or not. But again, I have had an experience of leaving my body, and it seemed that when I left my body, if that's real, if it wasn't a hallucination, whatever that is, that once your body dies, you leave this body, and then it doesn't matter anymore. So you're pretty okay. You're really okay. You have no burden. There's no resistance. There's no need to do or be anything. You just kind of are, right? So yeah, I can't prove if that happens. Like if when you die, you become the spiritual entity, right? You go back to that state of beingness, pure conscious and awareness without physicality. If you do, then it's totally okay. If you don't, then it's nothingness and it's still totally okay. But I don't tend to believe at this point. I guess I've never really have intuitively believed that after death, there's nothingness, like just darkness. Your body dies. It's darkness. It's nothingness. It's always kind of felt like to me that there's something before and after this. So yeah, I've concluded with my experience, non-experience, that they'll tell me is a hallucination that when the body dies, you leave the body and then I guess you reincarnate or you spend the rest of your life floating around, observing others and interacting with others. Like they say, the spirits, maybe that's what the spirit world is. Pure conscious and awareness floating around. Go ahead.
Yeah. People must be sharing the same hallucination because I've had experiences where I've left my body and, you know, that was during a very, what I would call atheistic time of my life. You know, I was like exploring altered states of consciousness. Yeah, but I was straight up atheist, and then I kind of hit a wall with atheism, and then I was just smacked in the face with, you know, there has to be this thing because I've seen so many synchronicities and what was that?
I accidentally hit the button there.
Oh.
I don't know if you heard it. He said, "Hello, world."
No, yeah, and like a lot of the things you say, I'm like, damn, I've had very, very similar experiences with regard. And you know, in my studies of the spiritual aspect of whatever this experience is, I have come to realize there's definitely an eternal aspect to each and every one of us. And I don't think, you know, this life is the first life. It can't be the first life if we're eternal. So could there be a whole reincarnation thing going on? Probably, most definitely. I mean, you know, even when you disembody and you're out there floating in the nothingness, I believe the individual soul is in need or is programmed to associate with other living entities. It's its nature to want to associate with other living entities. So it can't float around in the nothingness for too long. It'll either have to carry on into the eternal hereafter or come here to experience, I believe, you know, whatever it is.
I mean, it's pretty simple in the sense of, if you just do whatever your nervous system reports to you to be true and correct, even if it's not, then you'll at least learn and come to a more accurate representation of what is true and correct for you. If you're always doing what you believe is true and correct, or following your authentic intuition or instinct, well, then even when you do wrong, you're not necessarily doing wrong, right? It's like wrong a lot of the time, if not all the time, is knowingly doing something you know is wrong. So that's how I look at always being okay, right? If I always just follow my natural inclination, my instinct, my intuition, what my heart tells me, even if I'm incorrect, I'm going to learn what is correct. In which case, ultimately, I'm not going to live or be wrong. So no matter what happens to my body, no matter what happens to the world outside of me, if I just do what I believe is true and correct, over time, I'm going to learn and get better. I'm either going to make a change in myself and in the world, or I'm going to do the best I can. Either way, everything's going to be okay. Because when I die, whatever circumstances that's under, I get to say what many others, if not most others, will not. That they did what they thought was true and correct, were true to themselves, followed that thread till the end, and regardless of what happens, they lived a full life. They were true to themselves. So that to me is how you live a life where it's always going to be okay, even if it's not always okay, if that makes sense. Because you never have regrets, right?
It does. And oftentimes people kind of want to just unplug from life altogether and say, oh, I'm renouncing this, I'm renouncing that, or I'm not taking action in this, or I'm not taking action in that. And they think they're doing themselves a good, but it's really a disservice to the true self, you know? The ego might say, oh, I don't want to get, but oftentimes we need to understand that, you know, there's a devotional aspect to this life. And if we don't carry on that way, you know, like it's the cliche saying, faith without works is dead, you know, or death. But, you know, I've realized in my personal life, you know, I've had to work. I've been taught in a very practical sense, you know, that you have to do, you know, you can't just take inaction. But the true renunciation comes in doing and being able to let go of everything you have, you know, the fruits of your labor. You got to be able to let that go. You can't be bound to that, or, you know, if that makes any sense. We just got to be able to carry on, do, serve, and I believe that's where we harvest most of our realizations, the true ones, the ones that we take, you know, to the beyond. Everything else is gonna rot with your brain here. But I believe the true realizations come from that, you know, being able to let go.
All right, I needed the Castro update. I'm longing for it. So let's get to that. Hello, world.
Hello, world. Today's June 29th. By the time you'll hear this, it'll be July 1st, 2024. My name is Chili DeCastro. I'm a journalist. I've been wrongfully imprisoned in the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is almost the 4th month of me being locked up inside of this dungeon. We are 10 days away from my appeal. The appeal, we have clearly proved our case. We have clearly proved our case. And I should be released. This case should be overturned on appeal. This is a real test right now to see if the judicial system is going to work as it's supposed to work. The way the judicial system is supposed to work is you're supposed to have case precedent that creates case law. In this particular instance, we have the First Amendment, that I have a right to film police. And then we have several cases, Blick versus Cunniff, and more importantly, Wilson versus First District of Nevada Judicial, where it clearly establishes that obstruction is a physical act, and that I have to go there to obstruct the police with the intent to hinder, delay, or obstruct them. As you know, I'm a First Amendment auditor. I filmed hundreds of police, and my intent is to get the shot. Contrary to what the biased and unprincipled Judge Ann Zimmerman said, I do not want to get arrested. I do not want the smoke. I want to film the cops. I want them to be able to take on my provocative and challenging language and be able to respect my First Amendment right. That's what I want. So this has been a long and arduous journey. This has been absolutely horrible. My blood pressure is really bad because I'm being fed really horrible food. I'm being treated absolutely horrible. There's just no other way to put it. I'm treated just poorly. But I'm not being beaten. I'm not getting hit with hoses or kicked or stomped. So those are positives. You know, it's not an actual torture chamber where they're beating you. No, it's not that. So at least that is not happening. And people will say to me, and people will say to you, oh, well, go to jail in Mexico or North Korea. Well, if we're comparing America to Mexico or North Korea, well, then we got some big problems, don't we? Because we're supposed to be the land of the brave, the home of the free. And what sucks is that coming up here in just 3 days, 4 days, will be the 4th of July. And I will be sitting in this dungeon listening to fireworks going off here in Las Vegas as I'm unjustly locked up in the Clark County Detention Center. You know, there needs to be a constitutional amendment in every state. Maybe a constitutional amendment for the United States of America. No victim, no crime, no jail time. And you're a poet and don't even know it. Now I'm not afraid to show it. No victim, no crime, no jail time.
Yeah, now he invokes that. Why didn't he invoke that in court?
You guys are more than welcome to come. It'll be at the district court here in Las Vegas, Nevada, in front of Judge Michelle Levitt. I hope that as many people come as possible. We want to fill that courtroom if we can. You know, and if they block you at the door, I'm already filing a lawsuit against the other judge for not letting my people come in. And of the dozen people who showed up last time, I have 4 of those people who are going to sign on the lawsuit with me. You cannot bar the public from coming into my public hearing. And that's what dishonorable Ann Zimmerman did in my last hearing. So, look, we're only 10 days away. Real quick shout out to Melissa. Thank you for putting money on my books, Melissa. I appreciate it. I really have survived on the kindness of strangers as I am inside of this dungeon. And I guess that Melissa and Alan, Cope Dog, and Gloria, and B. Boyer, and David, and with Drophead 74, I guess that a lot of you guys are not strangers because you know me inside and out now. I've been talking publicly for almost 3 years. I have 3,000 videos where I've expressed a position that is against this despotic government. So you know my position. You know how I feel. You know what I believe. Those things haven't changed. What has changed is we have to actually implement the change through the legislative process to make it so that if there's no victim and there's no crime, then there's no jail time. That has to become a thing.
No, that's the thing. It already is a thing. It's been a thing. That's the foundations of law here. But when you hire an attorney and argue legal code with the legal society using legalese, you've entered yourself into their society. You're not talking from the common law. You're not invoking the common law. You're not invoking the foundations of law. You're conflating legal and lawful. This is why I've been ranting for fucking hundreds and thousands of days straight, along with other people. You need to stop. This guy down there is doing it right now. You guys need to stop. Where is it? Yeah. I've been in a cell the last 2 years. Illegally incarcerated. You weren't illegally incarcerated. It was legal. The legal society did it using legalese and contract law. Some might say fraud. You showed up. You argued with them. You hired an attorney. You pled. You continued on. They sentenced you. You showed up and you walked into a fucking cell. I'd bet anything on it 9 out of 10 times. You didn't invoke the common law. You didn't invoke God. You didn't define your words and terms. You didn't stand on that. You didn't not make bond with them and sign the papers and agree you're not showing up. No, you signed the papers, you agreed to show up, you put yourself in their jurisdiction, you argued code, and you're not fit to argue code because you're not part of their society. But you keep entering yourself into it, and you keep hiring other code interpreters to argue it for you. And maybe it goes well sometimes, maybe other times it doesn't. So what's the point? All right, so stop stop saying, actually, that's not the story. You're only I don't need to be completely correct. I'm partially correct. He's going to do it with me now. The same thing the broad just did earlier. Stop telling me I'm not totally correct. I don't need to be. I'm partially correct. You win by an inch or a mile, you still fucking won, didn't you? There's no such thing as being a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. You're either a dumb fucking slave who doesn't know the words and terms and can't shut up and stop talking and stop signing documents, or you're not.
Yeah, you ever seen those prison shows where it tells you right before the show starts, all these inmates are innocent until proven guilty? That means they are there 100% voluntarily. They got pimped. They took a plea some way, somehow, because they weren't adjudicated. No one judged them to be guilty of a crime. It said it right before the show. So they must all be there in that pig pen, so to speak, that animal pen voluntarily.
Right. As quickly as Mr. DeCastro and the rest of these worldly people get out of their own imagination and get back to the universal and understand there is a God here, a sore point for most of them, whether it's Chile, Brian from High Impact, all these folks have a hard time admitting to their ego or accepting that God exists, that the universe is beyond their apprehension and it's connected to them and they're connected to it. And what they do generates an outcome for them. It's called quantum physics. If you can't accept God and you can't check your ego to reconcile with the idea of God, surely you can understand quantum physics and the idea of the unified field and the idea of influencing that field with your thoughts, emotions, actions, or lack thereof. Right? So pick one, pick the religious, pick the science, because I can merge both of them with an anecdotal experience, let alone an understanding that's eternal. Pick something one of you people can understand, because it seems in and of the world, they can either go all the way religious or all the way scientific. And I guess there's some folks who can't do either. They can't look into the spirit world. They don't have the third eye discernment to see through the spiritual world. And they don't have the intellect to understand the scientific world, apparently, and how they're one and the same, if you can just interpret properly. So you want to let some other clown come to court and speak for you and do all the work for you. That's not what life's about. Life is a generator of novelty and experience for the individual. Your work and job here is to find out your work and job here. You can't do that if you're hiring and paying other men to live for you and speak for you. This isn't that difficult. I've boiled it down to the most common sense explanation of how life should be lived, and you won't take it from me because I don't have a degree, I guess. Or because God didn't come down in human form again, according to you, to reveal this. Maybe he did, and that's what this all is. So that's a shocking idea in and of itself. Jesus can do it once, but Paulie can't do it a second time. Got it. Got how that cognitive dissonance works when we're all one self. So again, you folks think that you're special and unique and different. You folks think that it's a big world and a big universe and you're just one dot there. I don't see it that way. I see it as a small world in a sense where we're all connected and it's connected to us. And what you do is going to be based on what the fuck you get. So when you show up to court and you won't stand for yourself and speak for yourself, universe says, fuck him again. Fuck him again. Exactly. Fuck him again. It's going to keep fucking you in the ass till you finally stop being a bitch. Or you'll go the other way, forget about rights and freedoms and auditing, and just be a fucking cat pet bitch ass hoe. You can't play both sides. You can't serve two masters. Please get on one side or the other. Been begging you folks for hundreds of fucking days at this point. It's beyond embarrassing.
And it kind of
we'll know when you're ready. I and Judge Zimmerman will know when you're ready to be given safe passage. It ain't there yet. You're getting there. But you need another 30 days, 90 days. You need another fucking 100 days, 1,000 days in isolation and reflection and introspection because you can't get your ego to be checked and come under God and be a man of faith. You can't do it yet. It's going to happen. It's just not yet. You're getting there, though. The more suffering you choose for yourself, the more you keep spitting out nonsense, the more you keep clutching for something that eludes you, the more that thing's going to give you what you need to check your fucking pride and ego and get under the idea that there's a God here and you better start serving it with your words and your actions.
100%.
Stop coming to me with Montesquieu's words too and all the rest of it. Go ahead, sir.
No, yeah, it kind of draws me back to your initial dissertation at the beginning of the show where, I've discovered for myself that every time I'm thinking I gain some kind of new knowledge or, yeah, I know this now, I know something nobody else, the universe says, now you got to apply it. And literally it puts me in situations where it's like, yeah, now put your money where your mouth is and do this, or cower away, right? Don't go around talking about this if you're not ready to do it. And that's what the universe has presented for me in every instance. And that's part of the reason why I'm here, around this group of, likewise mentality that I think we can all share. And we're all drawn here for some reason, right? Whatever that reason may be. But I think it's a unifying reason. Even though we have,
of course it is. The unifying field is there. It's drawing everybody like the ball going down the drain. You can pretend that you're making your own choices and going your own way. The macro is that action, right? So every knee shall bend, as it says in scripture. That's what that means. It means imagine the quarter when they release it in that thing. It's getting closer and closer to the centric point, right? We're spinning faster. We're coming to a convalescence, a concrescence point. That's all in history, and this experience is over and over again. You don't get a way out. Stop lying to yourself and everyone else. Stop with the half-assed, lukewarm, fence-riding bullshit. Really get into this truth. Really seek it to be set free. Not the half-truth. Seek the truth or true enough. Not the shit you've been told, right? Based on your experience. What do you know in your heart? What's the most common sense understanding to you? And then go from there. They want to start outside of themselves at an institution, at a university, in someone else's book, and that's fine if you want to go to other people's experience to draw on that and then live it, but you got to live it at some point. That's the whole point of reading the Bible, to live like Jesus. We don't read the Bible to know about Jesus and don't live like it. That don't make no sense. Then what's the point of reading it? If we're not going to become like the hero in the story, what's the point of reading it anyway? Just fucking toss it on the fire and go back to whatever your bullshit, weak-ass, entertaining lifestyle is full of. This is the whole idea of a Christian ethos, so to speak. I don't even call it me being a Christian. I really call it self-knowledge. Knowledge of self is knowledge of the universe. The story of the Christed being was just a being who had knowledge of self and awareness and discernment surrounded by a bunch of living, dead follower slaves. That sounds familiar. So yeah, we're probably all on some level an expression of that consciousness. We're in the world, but we're not of it because we've never felt completely comfortable here. We've always been aware something's wrong. The last 4 years, among the rest of it, has really showed us and taught us what the fuck we're here to do and be versus not. So yeah, man, there's no coincidence here. This is why I say you don't have to start a group. You don't have to start a movement. We are the group. We are the movement. We're not part of anything other than a universal movement, right? Yep. And it's going to group some people over here and some people over there based on their discernment, apprehension, or judging their heart, right? This is what's really going on here. People are having their heart judged and they're being separated, wheat from chaff. Okay, you got a good heart. Maybe you don't have all the answers, but you're seeking truth and you want to be set free under God's will rather than follow in your own will. Then you're over here with Paulie Boy and them. Scary as that sounds. You want to go along to get along and give your soul up and walk with your own will in and of the world and get benefits and privileges and worldly power? Well, then you go that way. Ironically, go ahead.
I could tell you outright. My first, I could recount my first times where I was like challenging people in court. Every cell in my body was vibrating, like the adrenaline was running. I was wondering, I was questioning and doubting every word that was going to come out of my mouth, but I still forced myself to do so. And at the end of it, I was like, wow, like what was I really in fear of, and I came out, victorious, and I realized this is what I had to do all along. I just had to stand on my business and not let these people corral me like some child into their business. I have my personal business as a man, and once you start standing on that, in whatever venue, I believe, because I've not only applied this outside of, I've applied this in family court as well as outside of family court, you know, and I see results. So you just have to come to a shift in your consciousness and face the fear, so to speak, when it comes to, you know, confrontation with whatever it is that it may be. You know, you just have to go at it honorably and stay in honor at all costs the whole way through. I believe that's what the secret to it all is, you know.
Is that why they call it a charge? You charge. Is that why they get? Yeah, is that why they call it a charge?
Yeah, they're going to put a charge on you, and they're going to see what your charge is. What are you charged to do here in this realm? What's your conviction, right? So yeah, you have a charge and a conviction, or you don't. If you don't have an inherent supernatural charge electrically and a conviction in your heart to live and do and be, well, then they're going to put a charge on you, and they're going to convict your ass, and you're going to do what the fuck their will is and what they say to do.
Yep. Unless you know how to hold them liable for that charge, because anybody who takes my card and swipes it, well, you're liable for it.
Hey, bro, guess what? Here's a clue in life. Here's a clue in life. I don't have to get a fucking administrator who may be part of a corrupt system to be held liable at a court. You're going to be held liable in the court of public opinion and under God, fuck slave. You want to take my rights and freedom? You want to interfere with me? You want to put me in false bondage and try to make me your slave? Well, didn't the scripture from the beginning of time talk about fucking mountains being moved and water being parted to sea and all types of mountains being brought down on motherfuckers who want to be corrupt and know better but do something different? Well, go ahead and play with me or someone like me and what I'm connected to and see if I don't get a level up and you don't get a level down, because I'm going to pop out of that box more faithful and better than ever and probably in better shape some way, somehow, and you're going to wind up going to your own self-created living hell.
Yep.
If you're even allowed to continue to exist in this realm in your current vessel.
And all you need is a little bit of faith.
Yeah, but even talked in scripture about the charge. So these people that are following scripture, read your scripture. It talks about the charge. God's going to ask you about the charge when you know, in your scripture. That's what it says. So, yeah.
All right, Mr. Lantel's very active down there. We got Snafu Snaps here now. I got a Snafu Snaps update that I got to.
I've been singing this song in my head all day, Paul. I left it backstage. You're clear though. It's clear. It's parody, so you're clear. You can play it.
All right, beautiful.
This is what I'm going to make a song about Jack and Flow State soon, just like this.
Hey, disrespecting kids up on the beat. Oh, beat those trying to pick plans for them seats. Grow 40-year-old man steady acting like a freak.
Here we go.
Beat loaded 2-time bag to bag, and now we smoking on your pad. Tell me how you is a dad, but you act like mini lad. Now you going on vacation because you trying to flee the nation. You was acting hella flagrant. You another desperation. With your wife got no relations. You done fucked up out of faces. And it whispers in your basement. Think your brain need a replacement. You the doctor obsessing over a kid like Mr. Crocker. Should have blocked her, but instead you turned into a disco model. As a father, tell me how you would have felt that was your daughter. Caught you where you don't belong, like from among us. You the imposter, gaining sympathy on Twitter, but that shit was just a fail. Only map you'll be designing is that of your local.
Okay, I want to just ask a question here, Snafu. Does it ever occur to you that, like, because here's my question: if the system or whoever, whatever, like, decides they don't like me and they somehow, some way stick me with the same charges, are you and everyone else going to go make videos and just double down and say it's absolutely true? Paulie's a pedo. No. He's doing this and that. Like, is it possible? Like, because again, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just asking, is it possible he was actually onto something or talking truth and they stuck him with this rap just to make it easier to discredit him and mischaracterize him?
He admitted it, Paul. He kind of did what Jack Talcott did, the maybe baby shit. He admitted, I was texting a minor inappropriately, but I did nothing illegal. So, you know, texting a minor inappropriately with your multi-million-dollar contracts with Twitch and everything else. What's even worse is Twitch is covering up Twitch at Pogo. When I yell privately owned, government operated, media relations, dealing with pedos, Twitch is now in hot water because they covered up this pedo optics for 6 years now? And now
listen, I'm not supporting it, but the other side of it is you guys are doing legal cult again. as if somebody who's 17 3/4 is like, that's a child, and then once they turn 18, they're a non-minor, so then they're open for business. I mean,
yeah, that
you know,
makes sense.
this is where this is where it becomes kind of a cult and ridiculous, because why is a woman able to be fucked at 18 but can't be fucked at 17 3/4? What's the difference? And the answer is there is no difference, other than the cult has established for all of us what our ethics and morals are going to be on every level, from fucking to age to guns to weed to all of it. They're going to decide what's moral and immoral, what's ethical and not ethical. And again, doesn't mean I'm necessarily supporting just inherently 30, 40-year-old men fucking 16, 17-year-old girls. I'm just saying age is no barometer of intelligence.
40 something, not 30.
Whatever it is. Age is not necessarily a barometer. Age is not necessarily a barometer of maturation and intelligence. I know 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old women who are more childlike than that, Grace Thorpe or other people I've met who seem to be, on some level, have an awareness. Whether they're deviant or not, they have an awareness. They're mature.
Hey,
they're
look,
able to
Apple
reason.
Entertainment Road to Prison, who supports pedophiles and supports fucking charity veteran fraud, is in your chat. Bad Apple News Media, Road to Prison. Lee, you pedophile supporting piece of shit.
Here
Lee.
we go.
How do you know
Here
all
we
these
go.
people? How do you know all these people? How do you even know these
supporters? Lee, who fucking targets fucking Air Force veteran Sean O'Connor. Didn't you, Bad Apple News Media?
Let's stick with the topic. Paul was trying to make a point.
I know,
right?
but I'm just noticing the fucking trolls come out.
I
And
know.
Traitors come out.
We got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
You got it.
It's becoming mayhem here. It's becoming a melee.
I gotta say this, and then I yield. Go strike the fuck out of Nacho Cuifa. The optics are high.
I played did you see yesterday I played your Nacho Cuifa video?
No, I didn't see that. I've been busy. I relocated for all you fucktards that want to come kill me. I'm on the move. So I relocated.
Snaps is on the move now. He's not gonna take him down that easy. It's not gonna be that easy, people. You're gonna have to get him. Okay, let's look at. All right, since Snafu Snaps is here, I'll indulge him because I know he gets a kick out of this. Arby's fast food chain changes its Twitter logo to show occult ties. This is his latest production over there. Love this intro, by the way. Love this music.
And those illusions are up to us to decipher and learn what is the truth, yo. Ladies and gentlemen, the world stage is being set, the B system is in play, and the optics are high. And that is the truth, yo. I'm Snafu Snaps, you guys are the Snafu crew, the glue, each and every one of you. And remember, the optics will continue.
Derek, you want a roast beef sandwich?